people don't like being lied to. That's always the thing. But Pete Rose, if he had just said, of course I bet the Reds. What are you talking about? I had money on every game. We know you did, Pete. It's all right. I mean, now it would be accepted. In fact, they would have it's only a matter of time before the manager of the two teams is asked who he likes in the game. All right, we're going down on the field there. We got Tony La Russa. Tony, what do you think tonight? White Sox minus 135? Well, we're going to go to the pen right away, and I'm going to make like 7 righty-lefty switches at inappropriate times, and I'm going to wear up my bullpen. In fact, all of these guys worked in the game last night, so I would think this. I would take the points, take the runs, and take the price on the Boston Red Sox tonight to beat us. I would not lay 135 to win 100 on the Chicago White Sox. Okay, thanks, Tony. Let's go to Alex Cora. Cora, what do you got? Well, we got all our heavy hitters at the beginning of the lineup tonight, and they really pound this White Sox pitcher the last time he was out there. So I would think that we're a good bet, money line, straight up. When's that going to happen? I mean, that's going to be part of the pregame shows now, Dave. You're almost thinking about sending sympathy cards to your brothers in the media that had to attend that game, which I have the good fortune of not having to schlep down to these Dolphin games. But we've been equating it with the saga of Terry Schiavo, which you'll remember, Dave, where, the family was begging Jeb Bush forever to let them pull the plug on this poor woman who had been in a coma for like 2 decades. And that's kind of what watching that game was like. I don't know. Were you forced to attend that in your duties with the Sun Sentinel, or as a columnist with pretty much free choice over what material you're going to put in the newspaper and make as your contribution? Did you find something out of town, perhaps, to cover that day?
I did go to the game, and my lead
of
my
God.
column was quick. What's the phone number of the researchers who are studying brain damage from the NFL? I want to donate my brain.
That Nowitzki guy, you got him on hold. I mean, that's great.
I want to donate my brain because it's been damaged. It's been damaged from the last couple decades.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
That was a real beauty, that ball game. The Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans. A 9-turnover affair that just absolutely left you to question, what the hell am I doing here? Well, that's a good question. Morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest. We have one Mike Lubitz with us on the program today, and many good things happening here on the show, including later on, sometime during this hour, around 7:30 Eastern Time. We're going to talk to one of our favorites. We haven't had a chance to get him on the program yet. The great Len Robbins, longtime writer for the New York Post, and now with the New York Extra. In fact, he runs the whole show with the New York Extra. The man's a riot. There's always something happening in the Big Apple. That gets to be an issue here in South Florida, where we hail from, here in the Fort Lauderdale area, essentially. And, people always used to get mad about that. Yeah, well, why don't you just go back to New York? All you want to talk about is the Yankees and the Mets. And that's not really our bag. But there are a lot of expatriates here from New York and the New York area, and a lot of fans still remain. When you go to a Jets game here, and most of the fans are in Jets jerseys. Never forget when Jay Fiedler had gone from the Dolphins to the Jets after the Dolphins realized, this ain't working out too well. And then he went to the Jets. He probably did very well with the Jets, but I was doing a pregame show outside one of the gates, the entrance gates to the stadium, and I could not believe, he hadn't even inked the contract yet. I think the ink was still a little bit wet, a little damp on the contract, and there were people showing up like by the dozens in Jay Fiedler jerseys. So there's always been, and they were Jets Jay Fiedler jerseys. Oh, you wouldn't see anybody. You don't see anybody. That's one you don't see at Hard Rock Stadium. You go to a Dolphin game. Will you ever see a guy wearing a Jay Fiedler jersey? Good guy, man. I mean, we should not ever make him the punchline on any kind of Dolphin joke. Because of the guys that have toiled a position, I think the general consensus is, and you might even be able to throw, I hate to say this to you, Mike Lubitz, you might even be able to throw Tua Tagovailoa into the equation, that the best quarterback that's performed for the Miami Dolphins as a starter on any kind of consistent basis, overall results, was probably since the retirement of Marino in 1999. Was it that long ago? That's 22 years ago, Lubie. Man, that's 22 years of just crisis situation here in South Florida. But Jay Fiedler might have been the best of them, right? I mean, there's any number of schleps that you could add to the list. Everybody always goes to Cleo Lemon on that one. And any number of other guys that were just absolutely horrible at the quarterback spot here. And we've tried them all. Fiedler might have been the best of them. And was he better than Tua? He was a more distinguished quarterback with the Dolphins so far than Tua has been. You would have to admit that, no?
Yeah, they went to the playoffs. Tua hasn't done that yet.
Exactly. Almost did last year, right? As part of a Woodstock type of situation where we had David Woodley and Don Strock splitting time at quarterback, and he was in there with Fitzpatrick. They were about equally responsible, would you say, for whatever success the Dolphins had last year, which quickly was obliterated by their 7 straight losses after they opened up the season with a win against the Patriots. The good news is on Thanksgiving, since the Dolphins played last Thursday, we didn't even have to consider looking at the schedule to see if they were on the schedule. And yet, maybe we're underselling the position that we're in right now, having won 2 in a row, including a dynamic victory with a defensive masterpiece against the Baltimore Ravens last Thursday. So it's been a while since they've been in the equation. But nonetheless, that's one of the things that you look ahead to. And I like the fact that Dave Hyde, the South Florida Sun-Sentinel columnist who was on the show with us, a frequent visitor to the program, pointed out that he was sending his brain matter to that Nowitzki guy. Is it Nowitzki? Yeah. I think I keep thinking of Dirk Nowitzki every time I think of this guy. And we met him, remember, several times and talked with him casually. I'll never forget this, Lubie, when I don't know if you were with me. You weren't with me then. I was working in Radio Purgatory at the time. Yeah. And Leslie Visser had convinced me that I should go to the Super Bowl in Phoenix on my own dime. And, of course, it turned out to be a great trip for me because the cheapo motel that I booked about 60 miles away from where the site was that we're going to be working was the closest thing that I could afford. And it was a Motel 6, not exactly, what appeared in the brochure. And how come the grounds always look great there, right? You think you're checking into the Ritz-Carlton and then, you're in there squeezed in between 2 smelly truck drivers. Not to diminish the truck driving profession, which we have great respect for now. And please, would you guys deliver some stuff?
No, God.
Cream cheese crisis right now, Lubie. You know my addiction to cream cheese.
Yes.
And you go to the shelves, they don't even have their own store brand in Publix. They got a couple of those bricks of Philadelphia cream cheese that nobody buys. Like, how undesirable is that when you could just take a knife and stick it in a tub there? Because that stuff, it's going to end up on your clothing. Those bricks of cream cheese, they're only good if you're just like throwing the whole thing into a cake. But I was in a store yesterday. I had to go get a prescription filled, and so I'm roaming around while this is happening. And I figure, okay, let me see. With this cream cheese crisis, let me try and grab a couple of tubs of Publix cream cheese. Shelf is barren.
Oh,
it was like one. I'll send you the picture. We should post it here on the show. A barren shelf on the cream cheese section. A complete strikeout, except for those bricks of Philadelphia cream cheese, which used to be in vogue, but now look, it's 2021. Nobody gets that stuff anymore. So it's a little bit brutal what's going on. We respect anybody that's in the delivery business right now because we need stuff. We really do. But Thanksgiving too on the horizon. I did not see the turkey shortage that people have been pointing out. There were plenty of turkeys there. I don't know if they were charging like $100 a pound or something.
That'd be expensive, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to pick up a frozen turkey, you could have, and I was tempted to get a few. I'm thinking about just lining up and seeing if Don King's giving them away this year. Hey, Don, you got one for me? No, those are for people that are struggling a little bit more mightily than we are, even though this is a whole new venture for us, and we don't know exactly how it's going to go yet. Mike Lubitz, who does? Who knows what the future has in store for them? I do know this, though. I already checked the schedule. It's the Lions playing the Chicago Bears, a Midwest bloodbath.
There you go.
On Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, God.
So you can sleep in there. I mean, I don't know if you were worried about how the food was going to come out or whether or not the house was ready and clean for the people that are coming over. Exactly. You'll have plenty of time to prepare it during that football game, which I would imagine the listening and viewing audience will be 0.0. You're obligated to watch that, are you not? I mean, they put this garbage on out of Detroit. I know it's a tradition, but...
Yeah, but come on.
Would it behoove them, or not behoove them to get like a real team? Just 1 year, where people are going, wow, can't wait to see that Lions game. That's something you never hear in the sporting vernacular anymore. Anyway, Len Robbins will have a lot of comments about what's going on in New York. And then later on, red hot situation here in town. Although I don't know how much concern there really is. I mean, how much difference does it make for the University of Miami to fire their athletic director, leave the coach in place, and you know that a new athletic director, is he really going to come in and go, wow, look what Manny Diaz has done here? So you're assuming that there's going to be a change there. Yes. So why not just make the change? I don't know. With a couple of games left in the season, does it really have any concern to anybody? Where are we going? The Emerald Bowl again? If you can win another ball game, they have to win one more to qualify for bowl activity. And you're assuming they must have some cupcakes left on the schedule. The University of Miami, no. You have to have a couple of easy games left that they can win. But, you know, they go to a bowl game once again. It's like, is the Emerald Bowl in Seattle? Is that where it is?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Well, it's a perfect spot for the University of Miami. Not a great place to be right now, though.
This week they play Virginia Tech, who just fired their coach, Justin Fuente. Yeah. And they finish up with Duke. So they have 2 winnable games. Both are games that they ought to be favored.
So they probably split those, go 6-6, go to the Emerald Bowl, and take about 200 of their most loyal fans with them to Seattle there to dodge the flooding. Bring a kayak. Wow, I mean, it's rough what's going on out there. No sign of global warming being an influence here, Donnie boy.
Never.
Right? I mean, why pay any attention to that, right? Every other day, like a volcano is erupting in Manhattan.
In midwinter.
I don't see any reason to look into this. Nothing unusual here. All right, many things happening on the sporting front, and this is kind of interesting. Speaking of New York and Len Robbins, this Noah Syndergaard signs with the Angels. The Mets had just named I think this guy was the GM. He was either the GM or the assistant GM with the Angels. I want to say he was their general manager. This Epler is the guy's name, Billy Epler. Didn't do that much to distinguish himself as a GM of the Angels, because I think they might have made the postseason once in the 5 years that he was there, if that, or might have had like a winning record once in the 5 years he was there. In fact, this guy was no better than Mike Tannenbaum as an executive, so of course he's headed to the Big Apple and the big stage. And so while that's happening, he goes from the Angels to the Mets. You would figure he was counting on the return of Noah Syndergaard, who came back last year after Tommy John surgery. This guy was headed for what looked like was going to be a brilliant, possible Hall of Fame career. And I remember they had Matt Harvey on the staff, right? Was Syndergaard around then too? And of course, DeGrom, who's a monster, and yet he had arm trouble last year. So the Mets were really counting on Noah Syndergaard coming back. They had to make a qualifying offer. This is nice, to make a qualifying offer to one of your pending free agents, Lubie. You know what the number is in Major League Baseball? Where is this money coming from?
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're not selling sneakers, that were made in China in Major League Baseball. Where is this money coming from? Everybody says the game is boring, that the new, approach just absolutely sucks. And there's a case to be made for that. Although I found the playoffs to be exciting, and that was a lot of fun to watch. And the World Series was very entertaining this year. I enjoyed most every pitch, as I do every year when the World Series rolls around. But, the rest of it, how tough is it to watch like a mid-season game between like the Twins and the Indians, no matter how well or poorly those two teams are playing at the time, and yet it must be generating a boatload of cash, because the qualifying offer for pending free agent is $18.4 million. You have to offer the guy $18.4 million. I know it's in excess of $18 million. Might be like 18.1, but who's going to split hairs there except the IRS? No, there was a couple of 100,000 you hid there, Mr. Lubitz.
Exactly.
What about those checks from Justina Testa?
Exactly.
Right? People were paying her. She was paying you. I don't see that registered here, Mr. Lubitz. Yep. What would you like to say to that?
Well, the reality is, as boring as baseball is, it has the most games. And that's the one thing in this world where people are cord cutting, which no one's cord cutting. Now every company has their own streaming service. So we actually spend more money now on cable than before. The companies still find a way to win. But because people want to binge and watch all this stuff, if you're a network, the only way you can get someone in real time is to have live programming. Sports is that. And the one sport that has 162 games and like a 3-month and a month to 2-month postseason is baseball. So as boring as baseball is, they have so much content that it's still worth a lot of money to have their TV deal.
That's what I'm going to try and convince Jack Namer today around 2 o'clock when I go down to the studios there and say, hey, Jack,
we're live.
You need content.
Exactly.
Can't run a channel without some content. And hopefully we're providing something of satisfaction in that area. But anyway, so Syndergaard bolts for like $21 million. The Angels taking a chance. I do remember I was kind of an Angels fan at one time. So I was working in California. I got my start out in California for the uninitiated there, and was at a small newspaper, and we covered a lot of the LA sports, even though we were about 60 miles. And then later on, I moved to another spot that was about 30 miles outside of Los Angeles to the east when I was at the Ontario Daily Report, which was known fondly as the Daily Distort in town. And the motto, of course, was brilliant. Yesterday's news tomorrow. Wasn't that game last night? But we came out, we had a late deadline. We would close the paper up there and put it to bed, as they say, around midnight. Wow. The day before, and then it was delivered and it was published as an afternoon. Can you imagine? They had newspapers that came out in the morning, and then another one came out in the afternoon that people got. But people wanted to read about their local stuff, right? They wanted to read about what was going on in town, and so there was always a purpose. And actually, in California, what was great, it helped me get my start in this electronic media career that has blossomed into this. But nonetheless, there was a radio station in every town. Virtually every town had its own radio station also. They didn't always direct everything towards the local public, their listening audience there, but there was a radio station of some sort in virtually every California suburb outside of Los Angeles. Anyway, so we got to cover a lot of Angels games, and that was at a time where the Angels were trying very hard as the California Angels to compete with the Dodgers for their popularity. They were in Anaheim, which is a bastion of conservatism in Orange County, California. Very right-wing, Lubie. A lot of people with a lot of money down there that would like to protect their interests. You're going to do what? You're going to tax the rich, Joe? I'll show you what's going to happen to you. No, they had a lot of capital down there. And Gene Autry, the singing cowboy, was the owner of the California Angels. You remember Gene Autry, the singing cowboy?
Yes.
Was he the one with Happy Trails to You?
I think so.
No, that was the other guy that was real popular, that was with the hot babe in the cowboy outfit. Dale Evans, wasn't that? Roy Rogers, right?
Oh,
remember
maybe.
Roy Rogers?
Yeah,
Roy Rogers. And did he sing Happy Trails? Anyway, the singing cowboy had a lot of hits, Gene Autry, and he had a lot of money. And the headline was always the same. The singing cowboy decides to empty his saddlebags, which were lined with gold, man. And he started getting some really good players. I mean, they had a good team at one time, right? They had Rod Carew leading off. They had gotten him as a free agent or in a trade with the Minnesota Twins. Rod Carew had a brilliant career, still had some shelf life left as a California Angel. Don Baylor was there, the guy that's been hit by the pitch most, I think. Not sure if he has the record, but it might be. He might be the all-time leader in being hit by a pitch, but he could hit, too. I mean, when he wasn't taking one in the fanny or on the arm, he was knocking the ball out of the park. Man, he had a wicked power bat, Don Baylor. He had Bobby Grich they had gotten from the Orioles. Great pitching staff led by Frank Tanana, and, of course, the great Nolan Ryan. So there was reason to watch this team, and they were trying very hard to be good. They didn't really they had Carney Lansford. Remember that guy at third base? Carney Lansford, redheaded guy? He could play. Really. He had a couple of big years for the California Angels. And I think he went on and played either before or after for the Oakland A's and played with great distinction there. But they were trying very hard at that time to be a good team, and it never worked. Just never worked. No matter how many players they invested in, they just couldn't get over the hump. The Dodgers were still winning World Series back then. And they had something that you probably will never see again, where they had that infield that they had kept intact from the minor leagues all the way through, like AAA. These guys were playing in, New Mexico or wherever the Albuquerque, right?
No, yeah, Albuquerque sounds about right.
Albuquerque, yeah. By the time I get to, that sounds like a Glenn Campbell song, right? By the time I get to Albuquerque, I'll be loaded. Poor Glenn, man. He fought a brave fight, against Alzheimer's. I mean, that was pretty cool when he was out there on tour. And still performing. That was very heartening if you ever see that documentary on Glenn Campbell. But anyway, they had those guys, the Penguin at third base, Bill Russell at shortstop, Davey Lopes, what was a dynamite player, a real exciting catalyst at the top of the lineup, second base. And, of course, Steve is not my Padre. Steve Garvey at first base. And, they had other good complementary players. Dusty Baker was on that team. They had Bill Buckner also before Buckner became infamous. Huh? What a shame that is, huh? That the only thing anybody ever remembers about Bill Buckner's career is that grounder between his legs off the bat of the great Mookie Wilson. A dribbler. Have you ever misplayed one of those? I mean, it's hard to criticize a guy, but, you get one of those squibbers, and it rolls between your legs, and you feel like a jerk.
Yeah, it happens.
But, and then when you have to turn around and run and chase it back to the plate as it rolls down the right field line, and now all of a sudden this guy's heading for third.
Ugh.
Unbelievable. But to be known for that, I mean, it's the same thing. There are a couple of guys in that category, right? Jackie Smith, the great player with the Cardinals, and Dallas Cowboys, right? Dropped a pass in the end zone there. And that was it. That's the only thing anybody remembers about his entire career. Just spit on my grave, why don't you? That's the way people look at it.
Honestly.
It's unfortunate. All right, so we do have to watch a little Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving Day. You want the rest of the lineup here just to get ready for your holiday? Because it's like a week and a day away.
Next week, yeah. Next week.
Raiders and Dallas, sort of an enticing game.
Fun. At least they have good offenses.
Well, we did see the Raiders just get crushed like a grape by the Kansas City Chiefs. And then they finish it off. The night game is Buffalo and New Orleans, which isn't too bad. But, Buffalo, one of the power teams in the NFL, ranked third in the current power rankings of some guy that I just read online.
Exactly.
Third. Hey, whose idea was that? Man, some guy that I just read online. That's always the authoritative, voice in anything. Oh, what? You can barely even see the byline on these articles, too. That's like they don't want you to know who wrote them.
No way.
Which is great. College football playoffs, that remains the same. Georgia number 1, Bama number 2, Oregon, Ohio State. Cincinnati still wafting right outside there at 10-0, and with 2 Power 5 wins so far this year. One of note, and that was, did they go on the road and beat Notre Dame, Cincinnati?
Yes.
All right. But Notre Dame at the beginning of the year, remember, they were all out, life and death, to beat Florida State, a team that you would say, rhymes with ducks.
When they almost lost to, what was it, Toledo or something? Like, Notre Dame actually, when Cincinnati got them, was rough. They've now turned it around. They're a top 10 team, but at the point, they were not playing well.
No. And that should be taken into consideration by the people on the committee. How many committees is Segreto on, by the way? We had Tony on. We usually have him on Wednesdays from 8 to 9. He's traveling today, so he couldn't make it. So he tacked on a little overtime yesterday on the program and was with us for about a half hour. But he mentioned like 100 committees. I love Tony, but I am not convinced. I mean, if anything, it's far more convincing, the argument that the University of Miami football program will never, ever achieve what it did a couple of decades ago when they dominated for like 15, 20 years and were always a top 5 team every year going into the season, usually a top 5 team coming out of the season, and 5 times they won the national championship, and it could have been more. That is not happening again. I don't care who they bring in as an athletic director. I mean, what could they possibly do? They would have to bring in like a magician, to run the show there, right? Like David Copperfield would have to, an illusionist. And then, I don't know, is Manny Diaz the best coach that they could possibly have on the sideline? You would have to say flat out no to that.
No.
At this point. Is he a guy that can rally the troops there and get people locally excited about going to the University of Miami to play football? And still, it would be a very generous offer, would it not? Somebody comes up to you, that crib that you used to have in the background, you fill that up with a little Lubitz, and like 17 years from now, Manny Diaz is in your living room saying, I'd like little Moish Lubitz here to play linebacker for us. No?
That'd be great. Moish Lubitz, linebacker for UM.
I couldn't think of a name. Yeah, I mean, Moish just popped into my head. Mush would be more appropriate.
I wouldn't send him to you, Miami. Are you kidding me? Man, it's a disaster. I mean,
you would not send your kid to the University of Miami if Manny Diaz was in your living room offering Moish Lubitz a scholarship.
No way.
You would have Saban. Would you allow him into your house, Nick Saban?
Probably.
Would you not think that would curse the entire Lubitz household?
Sadly, but I definitely would. They make money.
As he told you, well, I'm going to treat your son here, Moish, like he was my own.
Oh, that's a load of garbage. But they make a lot
Moish
of money.
Lubitz wouldn't play too well in Tuscaloosa.
Probably not.
There's number 27, Moish Lubitz, into the game.
That would be
What the hell is a Moish Lubitz?
exactly.
The hillbillies would never understand, man. Even Tallahassee might be a stretch.
Any of the schools. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
And not a lot of Schwartzes listed in the phone book there in Tuscaloosa. It's not even that, that unique of an observation, right? I mean, we know that. Okay. All right. Many things happening. But anyway, the college football playoff system stays pretty much intact. No changes there of any significance. Cincinnati still on the outside looking in. I think I'm beginning to convince myself that if Cincinnati does make it in, and I'm always rooting for the underdog, the team that's getting screwed, they're 10-0. Yeah, we got a legitimate case. And you'd like to see him. And you hate seeing the heavyweights always accorded every favor. They had this little flap there at Duke, which I don't know, maybe more of it is being made than should have. But did you catch this? Coach K's grandson got a DUI.
Yeah.
Right. So they issued a citation to this Paolo Banchero, the number one recruit. He's supposed to go number one in the draft. I think he was like the number 4 recruit overall. Besides that, who's that 7'5" guy they have that can shoot the ball from the outside of Gonzaga?
Oh, Chet something.
Is it Lambert or something like that?
Holmgren.
Yeah, Holmgren. Yeah. Anyway, but this kid, Banchero, I mean, he's already had LeBron James comment on his play. A lot of people say, wow, this guy really looks like he's going to be great. So how's this for, try this one on for size, Lubie. He's in the back seat while Coach K's grandson is driving a car, and he's right at the legal limit there. He blew like a 0.8. Which, there's where you need the hook to come into play. Not that I'm encouraging anybody to drive while impaired, because it's not a good move. And you could hurt somebody, you could hurt yourself, you could hurt your family. I mean, let's face it. Just jump in an Uber, leave your car there, and go pick it up the next day.
Ubers.
That's all you have to do, right? So, it always amazes me. I mean, like, it's a sad case. But this thing with Ruggs, I mean, if you're that loaded and you're leaving some spot in Las Vegas at 3 a.m, you've always asked this of athletes or people of means like that. Why wouldn't they just have a driver take them wherever the hell they're going that night? Why wouldn't you, why would you take your own car at that point and then start, drag racing at 150 miles an hour while what happened now? Supposedly the woman grabbed the wheel and, but I mean, a tragedy on all fronts. So you would think that Coach K, would have, I don't know. I mean, I don't blame him for this. I mean, his kid goes out there, has a couple of drinks, grandson. And but the Banchero guy got a citation, Banchero, for enabling this guy to drive a car while he was sitting in the back seat. Yeah,
that's a new one. That's interesting. Yeah. Yes, it'd be good to be.
That's part of Carolina law that he could have done something to stop this guy from driving drunk. Apparently.
Okay. I mean,
how do you know he is drunk?
How can you force? I mean, you cannot get in the car, I guess, yourself, but how can you make him not? What? Okay, that's a weird law. I mean, I know
weird law, yeah. So, and I was reading, because I naturally wanted to, do a little editorial rant here about how once again Duke just buries something when it involves one of their star players, like the money they paid to Zion Williamson. Whatever happened with that story? Nobody's investigating that anymore, huh? They threw a couple of assistant coaches, some poor schmeck that was out recruiting in all of these horse bleep towns, having to go on the road all the time. And they throw those guys in jail. And meanwhile, the coaches that were really involved and had the decision-making power, faced no scrutiny whatsoever. But I thought they had buried another discipline story at Duke, but when I read the details of it, and it shows you not to jump too quickly to conclusions. Yeah. I mean, how can you possibly really put too much of an onus on this guy? Because they made a big deal that he started last night against Gardner-Webb.
Should.
Duke against Gardner-Webb. I mean,
like
they needed this kid, and he only had like 10 points in the game. And is Coach K's grandson on the team? I'm assuming.
Probably is.
I figured that was the logical deduction. All right. Speaking of deductions, we're going to get the great insight of Len Robbins, one of our favorites here on the show. He's going to join us on Ion Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He's Mike Lubitz, and he's just a dynamite guy. Len Robbins, always a hoot. to talk with the editor-in-chief of the New York Extra. It's online and it's free. You can catch Len's work there, and you can catch him next here on Ion Channel, as we will be back with you in a moment. But I tell you what, Len would be very impressed with Destination Sport Miami.
Yes, he'd be a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, kind of crazy. I mean, just absolutely an amazing project. We love representing these guys here on the show. Check out what they're doing at destinationsportmiami.com. Going to be a big boon in the community there. I mean, there was so much excitement at that press conference, and then why wouldn't there be? Look at the dignitaries that are on the staff and going to be running the various sports programs for Destination Sport Miami. G Money, there's a 3. Glenn Rice going to be part of the staff. Randy Moss, who wow, I mean, he is a very polished broadcaster for a guy that you thought was kind of a nutbag, right, when he was a player. Were you not impressed with Randy Moss when he joined us? And then I've been watching him on the pregame show, which I would have to say the guys they have on that pregame show, I mean, it's a little bit too much, authoritative analysis for me. I mean, I don't need to hear every angle discussed 4 hours before the NFL games kick off. But I would have to say I give them the top collection of talent analyzing these games, including the amazing hair of Teddy Bruschi. But Bruschi, he's very serious about this stuff. Matt Hasselbeck does a really good job. I like Rex Ryan because he'll say stuff, and even if you don't buy it, it's at least entertaining to listen to. And then Randy Moss, I mean, does a great job there. Yeah. And he's part of the staff at Destination Sport Miami, and he's going to be running the football programs. And struck me as being very sincere that he can really do some good for any level of football player, from people that are aspiring to be professional or very close to doing that, top-level college talent, and all the way down to kids, Pop Warner. I mean, I think he's going to be a real asset. So great programs going to be instituted at Destination Sport Miami, the largest indoor facility, multifaceted. It's almost unfathomable what they're putting together there, and just a great, great project down there in the Doral area of South Florida. If you're interested in finding out more about it, destinationsportmiami.com. All right, we're coming back with more. Len Robbins is going to join us here in just a second, and we'll come back on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz on this fine Wednesday. Back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It is 7:33.
It's the Gambling Gourmet for Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale. It's one of my favorite places. It is old school joint that's serving Spanish and classic continental cuisine in a cozy, friendly setting. It's at 2768 East Oakland Park Boulevard. They're open every day except Sunday for dinner, starting at 5 p.m. You go in there, you see Joey and his better half, Sally. They are giving the greatest in service. And the food, oh my gosh, it's paella, shrimp with garlic sauce, stuffed veal chop. They serve this great, fantastic, warm sourdough bread. Go to Cafe Seville in Fort Lauderdale and tell them that the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes, because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. Len Robbins, the New York Extra, with us here on 940 Wins, 1230 The Zone. Deciding games by penalty kicks, or you used to do this, right? When you were playing, a game in New York City, and you would just yell, "Your mother!" And that was enough to get the goalie to dive to his left as the ball was still sitting there on the ground, and the guy would hit some slow roller in the right side of the goal.
Well, because I think that if we want to expedite the legal system right throughout the country, we should decide marriages on penalty kicks. I think that's
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
Very appropriate intro music for this next gentleman. Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show here. Jeff Deforrest, Michael Lubitz with you on Ion Channel and all around the world on various outlets, audio and video streaming. And it's a pleasure to welcome this gentleman to the program, one of our favorites from our days in terrestrial radio and conventional radio, and made many, many guest appearances on our Degenerate Friday shows. And we welcome back. And this is terrific because, he's like me, maybe a guy that would have been inclined to take his bar mitzvah money and go straight to Yonkers and bet it on Carmine Abatello in the show position. The great Len Robbins from the New York Extra. He's the editor-in-chief there. Len, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, and I like the fact that we have a new tradition here, Hump Day Wednesday as opposed to Degenerate Friday.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's still a degenerate nature to the entire theme of this show. All right, so many things happening, and especially around the Big Apple. I would imagine you're all over all of these stories, but I was following this in one of your former places of publication, the New York Post, which I get every day, and I love it. Still a great sports section, and it's fantastic. You're continuing that tradition of outstanding reporting with the New York Extra, but it seemed to me that even Bernie Sanders had turned down an opportunity to become the president of the New York Mets. So what's the story there? I mean, so much was being said and written about it that Chris Christie would have turned the job down. I mean, anybody who was desperate to be president, Trump, if he had a shot, would turn it down. What's going on there? I mean, is there something rotten at the head of the organization? Because everybody thought this Steve Cohen guy and his billions was going to turn things around right away.
I heard that they convened a seance and they offered it to Yogi Berra.
Casey was making comments that he wanted to come back, that he could have been a fine executive, even though nobody understood him.
Guys, the most overused phrase these days, right, in sports is culture, right? Everybody throws around culture.
Yes.
Right. But here's the deal. The Mets didn't have bad culture. They had no culture.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Sounds familiar to us, that's for sure. Yes.
I'm surprised they didn't offer you.
At one time I would have thought that I was cut out for the job, but it seems like nobody was. And then they make this weird move. I don't know. What's your feeling about Billy Epler as a GM? He comes from the Angels, so with a very undistinguished resume. I think 5 years there, and they didn't do much. And as that happens, going straight across the country is Noah Syndergaard. So very interesting development there is Syndergaard abstains the opportunity to come back to the Mets and takes a few more $1 million to go out west.
There are two sides to this story, right? First, let's look at the Mets one, right? Their lack of culture or anything else for that matter. Think about this. I mean, the last two guys that they had in that position, one turned out to be an alcoholic and the other turned out to be, a sexual harasser. So you tell me, do you want to be the next one to take that job?
Well, I've always felt this about jobs in this business, that it's always good to follow somebody that everybody hated,
Yeah.
because they will then deem you immediately, even if you're a stumbling, bumbling fool with nothing to say, which essentially is what turned out with me. But that they will deem you a breath of fresh air. Somebody will write in a column somewhere that covers the media. Well, you know that Lubitz, he's a breath of fresh air, which I'm not sure if that's good. But it was always good to follow like a lousy guy into a job or substitute for somebody that wasn't very good.
Basically, in your resume, it says, I'm better than that guy.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, a series of schleps they've had in that role, and nobody that's been able to really distinguish themselves, even though, I mean, it's not like they haven't made moves in an attempt to actually be a decent organization and a good team.
Look, considering that the guy who we thought was going to get the job was a lawyer who really hadn't been in baseball for a number of years, at least this guy was a general manager, right?
Yeah.
At least he's actually fielded phone calls from other general managers and made deals. Look, I've heard things that when he was in Los Angeles with the Angels, that, ownership basically gave him the green light, kind of ordered him to go sign guys to try and surround Trout and, Ohtani, and then kind of like backed off on, the spigot being open because they realized how much money they were spending. Look, I think this guy's got a chance, right? I mean, the one thing that the Mets need now is they need some stability. They, we still don't have a manager. That would be nice, right? So I think that Steve Cohen is one of those guys who is determined to win. I really believe that. I really believe that he wants to put the Mets back on the map. And, he's got a general manager now who's got some experience. Go out and get a manager who can actually, work with this team. I thought the deal to get rid of Syndergaard was actually really good. They get the 13th pick in the draft. Hopefully they won't take someone who has a bum arm like they did the last time. So, yeah, in that regard, I'm better than the last guy.
We're talking with the one and only Len Robbins. Follow him on Twitter at Len Robbins, editor with thenewyorkextra.com. Len, man, I want to transition into football because we talked so much, and Defo joked about Zach Wilson so much heading into the season. He was the prodigal son. Jet people were so excited. And then there's struggles like we've seen in the past with Jets quarterback. And then Mike White comes in and has the game of a life. And then now we've seen Mike White come back to earth. What is the sentiment about Zach Wilson? And are they really questioning him this early into his career?
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe the fans are, but, the most popular position in football is the backup quarterback on a team that may not have a great quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's better than that guy. Maybe Lubie can take that job. I'm thinking of it now. Look, let me ask you this. Has Trevor Lawrence exactly been tearing it up?
No.
Right? He hasn't. I mean, has Justin Fields been tearing it up? No. Has, Lance Fields even gotten on the field? No. Right? Look, being a rookie quarterback in the NFL is like the hardest job in sports possibly. The game is so much faster. The players are bigger, stronger. It's so much more complicated. I don't think we know anything about Zach Wilson yet. He's had, a game where he looked fantastic. He's had a lot of games where he didn't see ghosts. He saw ghosts, goblins, Trump. He saw everybody in front of him. So, ask me in 2 years. And anybody who says that, they believe he's a bust or they believe he's going to be the greatest thing since Troy Aikman, who was horrible in his first year. I think the Cowboys won one game with him in his first year. And now the guy's in the Hall of Fame. So, as far as I'm concerned, I would play the guy and let him throw it all over the field. And he doesn't seem like the kind of guy whose confidence is going to get rattled. I mean, he seems like one of these guys who throw 4 interceptions and then, he'll keep winging it. There's no
typical of the Jets. Yeah, throw 4 picks and just keep throwing. It's great. Len Robbins, a New York Extra, with us. Just an observation, and you're great at this because you were the one that came up with who was that you had playing Barry Trotz in the movie, The Life of Barry Trotz.
Perfect, Danny.
Did you have DeVito in that role? You had somebody else, I think, Len Robbins playing Trotz,
who
was in town.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you had, and it was great. But anyway, yeah, the Alzheimer's kicking in here, and it's deeply affected some of the things that we have to say on the show. But yeah, and Trotz was in town last night with the Islanders. They got shellacked here by the Florida Panthers, who were off to a great start and then had lost 4 in a row. But if Sam Darnold, if Zach Wilson had Sam Darnold's red hair, would he not look like Richie Cunningham on the sidelines from Happy Days?
Wow.
I mean, that guy is so young looking. I mean, it's insane to think he's an NFL quarterback. He literally looks like he should be lining up for some high school on Long Island somewhere.
How did you get there? That's one of the
You're asking me? I mean, medical marijuana, I think, is the answer to that question, Len. You know that.
Really, I've always been impressed with your ability to connect the dots. But that might have been your most impressive outing ever. So wait, we went from Sam Darnold to Richie Cunningham. I mean, that does come up the state of the Jets, I guess.
I mean, Babyface ought to be this kid's nickname, and sometimes it's lost on people that the guy is like a couple of years out of high school and quarterbacking, a franchise that's been staggering forever. All right. Well, a couple of quick things here for Len Robbins, and I know you're very busy today with your duties with the New York Extra, and/or you're taking some giant sports wager across the bridge there to New Jersey. Can you punch away in New York now? Because we have the app here in Florida. Can you place a bet while being in New York City, or is it still like the wet foot, dry foot thing is here with people that come over from Cuba? Like if they have 1 foot on the beach, they can stay. Do you have to have 1 foot in New Jersey to be able to make a wager in the metropolitan area?
You know this because you've unfortunately spent some time up here, right? But
yes,
Monday through Friday, of course, going across the bridge or any one of the tunnels is hell, right? At rush hour.
Yep.
I would imagine.
One saving grace was like the weekends, right? Well, now on Sundays, like an hour before kickoff, every one of those crossings is mobbed with people like you and me, AI degenerates, right?
Yes.
People drive across the bridge, wait in like all the gas stations that line beautiful Route 3 or Route 46 or whatever, place their bets, turn around and go home.
That's classic.
Now,
you have to love that. I mean, we should position ourselves halfway across the bridge there and offer to take half of the people's money and let them keep half and go back and save the gas too of going all the way across the into the other state. It's crazy. Anyway,
you just hold on. You just came up with a Shark Tank idea. You did. It was a Shark Tank idea.
Who needs Elon Musk?
You know how horrible it is. Everyone knows this, right? Regardless of what state you're in, going to motor vehicles is horrible, right?
Yes.
It's like 12 hours of your life you never get back, and you hear a phone ringing for like the next 3 weeks, right?
Yes.
So they have people who will actually collect your paperwork and go to motor vehicle, become the bookie. We take everybody's money in New York, drive across the bridge, place the bets, and go home. I mean,
that would work
on a Sunday.
Yeah. That's kind of like taking a congregation's money and betting the pick six at Santa Anita, as a former rabbi that I was associated with once did. And I'm not sure if he finished doing his time yet, but it was all in the name of God, I can assure you. All right, who would you put your money on if you were making a bet, Len Robbins, in the battle between Robert Saleh? If they do square off, I mean, I'm understanding that there's some negotiation going on to get them on the undercard of the Jake Paul Fury fight. I guess a half brother to Tyson Fury, a professional boxer, and Frank Gore's fighting Darren Williams on that card. What are the chances we get Rex and Saleh in the ring, and who are you taking in that fight?
Wait, so it's Rex Ryan and Robert Saleh?
Yeah, there's like a beef. They have like a beef.
Saleh looks like a beast. I mean, he really does look like a guy that you would not want to cross in a dark alley while he was angry.
Hey, look, talking about Rex Ryan, right, who once had like a video of him canoodling with his wife's foot in the car.
That's that Rex Ryan.
An embarrassing moment we all have.
I'm going Rex Ryan. I mean, Rex Ryan, who has a tattoo of Sanchez on his shoulder or something like that, or calf.
That was a mistake. Yeah, I think it's on his rear end, his rather rotund butt.
By the way, I was just listening to you about stealing the congregation money, and I realized you had Rabbi Parlay also.
Rabbi Philip Parley presiding over the congregation today, and happy bar mitzvah to Jerry. Yeah, he was, he had some criminal instincts, I would have to say, the rabbi. I really respected the man. I learned a lot from him. Very influential in my life. Rabbi Philip Book was
That
a
makes
man.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, when he brought professional wrestling to the Belmore Jewish Center, and the headliner was Antonina Rocca, how could you not love that man, Len Robbins?
So you're the guy, instead of using Post-its, would just use your lotto tickets to like bookmark pages in the Bible. Is that what happened?
No, and this is true. Did you remember the New York Herald Tribune? Like when I was in third grade, we used to get the Herald Tribune. There were about 6 newspapers being published in New York City at the time, and this was a good one. And we were supposed to be doing current events, and the first page that popped open, and I sat next to a girl I'll never forget named Drina Turner, because she was much like me. We would pop open the entries for Aqueduct that day, and that's what we did our current events on. So, we were talking about, well, you know what? Shoemaker's in town. He didn't come here for his health. He's here to ride the winner of the feature race. And everybody else was talking about, whatever was significant in politics at the time.
I'll just cross the aisle in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Parlay.
Our Lady of Paramutual, also, for our Christian friends out there, is one of my favorite churches to contribute to all the time. All right, many things are happening. I don't imagine there'll be a big welcome out for Carlos Correa when he becomes a New York Yankee, because he was on, and I did a little research on this. He was on a podcast where, and it's called Mi Gustan los Deportes. Which means what in
sports.
Spanish? It pleases me.
I love
sports. Okay, and he says that Derek Jeter was a stiff, that all of those gold gloves were gifts. Now, this is a guy that also Yankee fans already despise because of the cheating thing and he was a big central figure in that, as I think he was second on the drums right behind Carlos Beltran. But what kind of way is that to enter into the Big Apple as your next sporting arena, if indeed he becomes a Yankee?
Well, I think he's going to become a Marlin.
Good fat chance of that. Jeter has a better chance of going down playing shortstop for the Marlins.
Look, obviously he's going to regret this on opening day if he does come to Yankee Stadium. And then if he hits a home run on opening day, they'll be chanting his name from the bleachers the next day, right? I mean,
that's the way it works.
Yeah.
That's
I'm still waiting for Jeter to comment. I'm waiting for Jeter to comment.
He won't. What's he going to say?
He doesn't say anything. No.
He's not saying anything.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody was good at going Belichickian, it's Derek Jeter. There's no question. Although he doesn't mumble with his head down, but essentially he's just looking you in the eye. You must have interviewed Jeter many times or come across him many times, I'm sure.
Yes.
The various capacities that you've served in New York on the sports scene. Seems all right, but you're not getting anything out of Derek that he doesn't want to give away, and he doesn't want to give anything away from what we can see.
But, look, I mean, a lot of the greats do that, right? I mean, when has Tom Brady said anything, right?
No, never.
I mean, it's part of the Teflon suit that they put on. All I can tell you is this, right? And I know people don't necessarily want to hear this. Derek did his job, right? I mean, he was there after almost every game, and to that matter, before every game. So, if you were one of those guys who had to write the third sidebar, and you had no idea what to write, there was always like a saying, right? Write the superstar. So you could write about how Derek Jeter said that he was very impressed with how the team the Yankees were playing. It was boring as all hell, but
Yeah, we're really playing as a team here. That's great, man. Smoking Joe Philbin, I think, has said more exciting stuff in his career than Derek Jeter. Len, I know you have to run, and people can find your work on the New York Extra. You do a great job there, run the whole show. It's a free online thing. Just tap into NewYorkExtra.com. We love having you on, Len. It was always a pleasure in the past, and I hope you'll make it happen many times in the future. Thanks so much for being with us on a Degenerate Wednesday.
Guys, this is the only place where I really feel heard. I'd come on every week.
We appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know what
You're a great American, my friend. We love you, man. Len Robbins, ladies and gentlemen.
That scares me.
Dynamite college football and basketball writer in his days with the New York Post, and then was affiliated with Madison Square Garden for a long time. And I was writing for MSG's website, MSG.com, did a lot of stuff in public relations there at Madison Square Garden. And now with the New York Extra, on top of his game and virtually every aspect of it, as there's always something bizarre going on, including last night. Did you see this? The blowout of the Brooklyn Nets, who had been playing very well, and they're at home against Golden State. This is all happening without Klay Thompson. What happens when one of the best shooters in NBA history comes back on board with Golden State Warriors? They have one loss so far in overtime to Memphis in a wild game where Jean Morant went crazy, and that's it. I think they're now like 12-1.
The 12-2.
Golden State Warriors. 12-2. Like I said, they lost one the other night that I missed.
Well, and Steph Curry's playing out of his mind. Like Steph Curry's playing ridiculous.
Very much so, yeah. And we were talking yesterday about, what a great stat with Kevin Durant, averaging almost 30 points a game and shooting almost 60% from the field. And these aren't gimmies. It isn't just put-back dunks. Yeah, Durant's firing shots up under immense pressure much of the time, and from long range also. He has that great line drive jumper, doesn't he? A little bit of a microwave Vinnie Johnson type of touch on the ball. Not a lot of trajectory there, Lubie. Not getting style points for that, but boom, right in there every time. Anyway, they get blown out last night, the Brooklyn Nets, after I think they were on a rather lengthy winning streak, 5 or 6 games. James Harden's been playing well, and Kyrie Irving still
Yeah, exactly.
What's that sound? Does that mean we're off the air? How do you get in touch with that guy, man? By ham radio? I got somebody in Germany. Yeah, she says she wants to date me when she comes to the States. At least you get excited about that. Oh, great. Okay. Well, you tell Ilsa as soon as she's over here in the States to look her up. What airport might she be landing at? All right. We're coming back with more. David Ferronis is an outstanding writer here at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. It seems like we lean on the Sun Sentinel a lot. Have we ruled the Herald out of the equation completely, or we just don't know anybody there?
I don't have connections with those guys. To be really honest, we've gotten really good friendships with those people from the Sun Sentinel, but we like the people from the Herald. I don't have anything against them.
All right, well, and David has insight into both the Miami Dolphins, because he just got on the beat this year covering the Miami Dolphins, and was formerly the beat writer on the Miami Hurricanes beat for the Sun Sentinel, so has great insight into that. And I don't know, that's very interesting to me, Lubie, that did this come about all of a sudden? This thing, and I'm not sure how significant it is. What did Blake James do one way or the other that was of any great significance? He brought in Mark Richt, and everybody was in favor of that. And I don't know how you could have judged that, and what encouraged Mark Richt to no longer have his heart in it.
Well, he wasn't healthy. Remember, he recently had health issues, and I think before that he was starting to get tired, and I think he's had.
But this wasn't Urban Meyer type of health issues where, you know what? I got to fake a heart attack here. Can you give me something, Doc?
He hasn't come back, and he's not coming back, and he just does stuff on the AZ network here and there. Like Mark Richt actually has gone and gotten out.
He was a distinguished gentleman. One of those guys that you thought could bring respect to the program there. They had missed a complete whiff job on Al Golden. And then Randy Shannon, unfortunately, just, I don't know, did he not have the persona for some reason to be an effective head coach, or did he not know what he was doing? Because he's been a valuable and admired assistant coach at many different levels in different places, Randy Shannon.
Yes, well,
including Gator defensive coordinator, did a good job there.
He was UCF's defensive coordinator, and now he's a special assistant to FSU, and a lot of people giving him a lot of credit for FSU's turnaround on defense, which has been actually pretty big. The big thing that James did wrong, and a lot of people hone in on it, and something you and I sort of made fun of at the time, because Manny Diaz got the Temple job, for some reason he freaked out, and instead of doing a coaching search and seeing what was out there and who'd be interested, that same day he offered and gave Manny the head coaching job when he had been a decent defensive coordinator, but had never shown the chops to be a head coach. And he sort of rushed that. He didn't do a search, and now we've seen Manny sort of fail, and that goes right on Blake James.
Yes, a big differential between the Temple job and this one, and perhaps he should have let that play out a little bit and said, yeah, you know what, let's hire a coach, and if it doesn't work out and Diaz distinguishes himself at Temple, is he going to turn this job down in 3 years?
No way.
No. But no, they did panic on that. And, speaking of leaving Temple with the congregation's money, so, did they have to pay him a buyout at that point? That was very gracious of the people at Temple. Holy Bill Cosby. I guess they were trying to shake off that disgrace that their most famous alum was, at the time, right at the height of all of the venom that was being sent his way for what appeared to be some very hideous acts. That I don't know, guilty or not guilty on that one, Lubie. They got out on a technicality somehow.
Cosby? Oh no, he was massive.
Cosby, Bill, yeah.
It was like 50 women or 80.
Who would have thought of man? He was so likable, man.
Yes, I was a big Cosby fan. Yes, and it was
a huge
gross,
Cosby
disgusting,
fan.
and he was massively guilty. I don't care what happened, but he was in prison, wasn't he? In prison? Like,
Yeah, he was in jail for like a couple of years. Yeah,
so he was guilty.
Using every possible ruse, to get himself out there. Right? I can't see nothing. I'm blind.
Okay.
All right. All right, we're coming back with more. Speaking of the blind leading the blind, Jeff Deforrest and Mike Lubitz. I'm leading you down a very sordid path here on Ion Channel. Happy to be with you guys on this fine Wednesday. Tomorrow, we make another attempt at what will be the Trivia Challenge for you Trivia Challenge fans out there. And I believe we will have the full crew there. Now, are you on board? Because we're going to have to schlep to another location and do this thing real early in the morning and then hope everything works and checks out okay. Which I believe that it will. I have total faith in this. And, of course, it's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, brought to you by the great people at Hialeah Park. And, wow, can you talk about Hialeah Park with enough high praise and hyperbole? I mean, and it's all true. I mean, the place is just beautiful. You walk in there, you feel great. You step right off the face of what is a very difficult earth right now and into just pure nirvana in terms of the look of the place and the action that you're going to have right there at your fingertips, including the Champion Simulcasting Room, which is a great place to punch away on the ponies. That's open Thursday through Sunday. And then you have the Poker Room. That's 7 days a week. The casino there, Steve Calabro doing a great job. Jackpots being taken down. Hey, Joe, I got one over here. Call attendant, man, is like the most frequent phrase that you hear there. Call attendant. It's not to get the machine, that sucked up your money like it is in some places and gave you nothing back. We're talking about for jackpots, one after another being won in the Hialeah Park Casino. I love going down there. They have some big special events coming up, including what I think is going to be a dynamite boxing card. Can't wait to get down there for that. That's in January. You can get your tickets online once everything is firmed up and official. I believe it's pretty close to being done and signed, sealed, and delivered. And don't forget about the Larry Little thing. That is, December 3rd, Lubie? Larry Little dinner?
I'd love to go.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame banquet, man. Great stuff there. And you get to talk. If you're having a drink and Mercury Morris steps up next to you and says, all you do have to say is, hi, Merc. And you've got like an hour and a half of entertainment. It's just absolutely amazing. Great guys on tap there at the banquet. And Tony Segreto is the MC of the whole thing. Does a great job. Tony's a tremendous MC. Anyway, it's all happening in Hialeah Park. Check out the calendar of events. Always something big happening there. We love them. They're great people, and we appreciate their support. Check out the casino, the poker room, and all of the food and drink, and, of course, the Champion Simulcasting Room, and just the grounds. They're at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, we're coming back with more. David Ferronis on the Dolphins and the Hurricanes here for the South Florida audience. A lot of stuff happening there, although Dolphins-Jets, remember that used to be such a big deal, Lubie. We talk about this when it comes to the Heat and the Knicks.
I didn't even realize that game was happening.
The Dolphins play the Jets this week.
No idea.
In New Jersey, and nobody gives a flying.
Oh, my God, that's funny. I had no idea.
That was another one of those things in town here. It was real easy to do sports talk back when people cared before the indifference set in across the board.
Even in the beginning of our tenure together, we would just bring up, remember we did Jets radio for like the whole playoff run because the Dolphins sucked and people hated it. People got so
mad. They were calling them scathing mad. Why don't people get a joke when you're just trying to pull a little prank off?
It was great. It worked. Like people, like if we tried that now, no one would give a damn.
WJET, we call the radio station. And people were writing to the program director, how could you change the call letters of a fabled station like WINZ and make it WJET after those disgusting, hideous, pathetic Jets? You know who Jersey Kyle's going with, man. Jets, Moneyline Martinez. All right, we're coming back with more. David Ferronis in the 8 o'clock hour of the program here. Glad to have you guys with us. Ion Channel, just rocking away. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge tomorrow and a Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday. Superimposed there over Gulfstream Park. I thought that was a spectacular with Jersey Kyle and Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, with us on Friday as well. You hear Mike. He went to Cafe Seville 2 nights ago,
nice.
Lubie. Oh, my God. How jealous was I? And I was telling him it was only a party of 3, so the check probably wasn't that hefty. But I would have bet every dime of that check on the Rams that night, even though I ended up getting San Francisco. There was just no way that you could see the Rams losing that ball game to San Francisco, except for the fact that the NFL is in bed with various bookmakers. Okay, Lou, we paid you back for that one. I know you took drilling there a couple of weeks ago when all the chalk won. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Are we going to overhear some, leaked phone call to Goodell's office straight from some betting syndicate in Russia?
For sure.
Jets must win. Roger. The phone goes down, and you're like, what? Jets win? It's 8:05. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine foods served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo for Even Keel Fish Shack, corner of A1A and Commercial Boulevard at Lauderdale by the Sea. It's my favorite place now for great seafood in a casual beachfront setting. They've got happy hour 4 to 7 Monday through Friday. They've got great dishes like grilled oysters and oysters on the half shell, bang bang shrimp, lobster rolls, octopus. They also have burgers and chicken for those who don't like the seafood. They're open 7 days a week for a lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to Even Keel Fish Shack. Go say hi to Dave and Brad and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone? You can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side.
Buy or lease a Taos and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen. The great Kurt Pavakwa joins us here, the subject of that Tommy Lasorda rant. Now, I don't know if you've ever fallen out of a boat, but you did get back at Lasorda by sending a limousine for him on one occasion. Tell us that story, and how did he receive it?
He didn't receive it too kindly.
That's great.
You know, I knew where their hotel was, and I have a pretty good idea what team schedules are when they leave hotels and come over to the ballpark. And I just made arrangements for a little person.
Diminutive person, yes.
Yes.
It was a little person driver, and it was a Volkswagen stretch limo.
Nice.
And I sent him over a pizza that didn't have any sauce or cheese on it. It was, from what I understand from a couple of the guys, the driver showed up. He had his little black hat on. Lasorda comes walking out towards the bus, and he said, "Mr. Lasorda, I have your car for you." And he goes, "What are you talking about?" He hands him the pizza, and I think he threw it at him.
That's great.
Did he know the source was Kurt Bavacqua?
Well, he did when the guy told him that it was courtesy of. So
I love it.
Some measure of revenge, no doubt.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
The dripping sarcasm with which Tommy Lasorda says Bavacqua in that rant. One of the classic Tommy Lasorda rants. Bavacqua couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. One of my favorite lines from Tommy Lasorda. I had the good fortune of covering a lot of that period of time there where Lasorda was at his absolute best in the post-game conversations. And they would welcome everybody into the manager's office. I think they still do that. I don't know. They still do that in Major League Baseball where, like, the reporters come in there and they're hanging out and the guy's in his jockstrap. Jim Fregosi is scratching his private parts there. You've seen the one with Hal McRae where he throws, like, the telephone at the guys.
Yeah, no way.
He's so upset with the line of questioning. And Lasorda was tremendous at holding court. You had to push aside like Frank Sinatra to get a microphone in Lasorda's face. Hey, look, Frank, I got a question here. I'm on deadline, huh? Probably not a wise move, judging by the fact that Frank was, notoriously connected. All right, welcome back to the show. It's the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. The Defo Show with Mike Lubie Lubitz. And we're here on Ion Channel, streaming audio and video around the world and around the universe, courtesy of Jack Namer and his fine organization and all the good people there. So, happy to be with you on this great Wednesday. David Ferronis on the... we got a situation down here. It sounds like something Gordon Soley should be describing.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a situation down here with the University of Miami. Could you be any more on ice? I don't know that it makes any difference. I really don't. I'm not sure that anybody can come in here and salvage the program. You would think that they could have gone with Butch Davis a couple of years ago. He certainly had the ability to recruit locally, but the common wisdom would be that if you're going to hire a coach now to take on a rather large task of trying to bring a program that was once so dominant back into this level of prominence, that you're going to need like a young, energetic guy that is going to be here for a while. And yet, that wasn't the way that the program ended up achieving this level of success. It was literally carpetbagger city here because you knew that no coach was going to last too long because he was eventually going to get a pro job. And, but that's what happened.
I think what's interesting is if you've seen the crop of coaches that have had success this year, and they're only in year two, Mel Tucker with Michigan State, Lane Kiffin with Ole Miss, Pittman with Arkansas, Aranda with Baylor. They're not outside of Kiffin, who was a head coach at times, but he got this job after being an assistant with Alabama.
He still looks 25, though. I think he is. He started coaching when he was 12. It was great. He got the Raiders job there.
Like, all these guys were assistants that were looking for their big shot. Michigan State's not a better job than Miami. I get it. Oregon is for Cristobal. Michigan State isn't. Baylor, with all the crap they had going on there, isn't a better job. Ole Miss is the SEC, but it's not a better job than Miami. Like, if Miami can do what it did with a Jimmy Johnson, get a younger dude who some people know, some people don't, who's had some success, who coaching circles like, who wants to put his name on something big, that's what they need to do. Diaz was an interesting idea. The problem is he hadn't had that much success as an assistant. Like a guy like Mel Tucker, some of these guys were really well known as assistants. I think that's what Miami needs to do.
Well, and also, the oddball situation here is that Diaz made himself the defensive coordinator, and then you look at these defensive breakdowns, and I don't even know how to term this. I think of a word that correlates with the weakest of decision making. And look, it's after the fact. If the ball had been picked off because they had 8 guys in coverage, Maybe we have a completely different viewpoint of this and talk about what a genius he was to only rush 3 guys and go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippis, 3 Mississippis to a young quarterback who hasn't proven that he could play in the clutch. And you're going to give this guy an hour and a half to survey the field and then find a guy in the middle of probably the weakest zone defense. It's one thing a guy makes a circus catch on you in the corner of the end zone while 3 guys are draped all over him.
Yeah, what can you
off a pass that was thrown as the guy was being laid out on his back and by the defensive front that was pouring it on. Okay, so if you're beaten in that fashion, there's nothing you can do about that. You just say, all right, the guy made the right call, and they came out of it on the better end of things, right? Ball hits the top of the net, lands on your side of the court, you lose.
Yeah.
That happens. But you don't mind losing in that fashion, but when you're just conceding the most favorable of circumstances to a guy that you should be absolutely rattling like an animal in a cage.
Yep.
That doesn't speak well of a guy who his background is on defense, and you're thinking if he's this lacking in aggression in a situation like this, then how could he possibly be a significant factor as a head coach? And what does he do? Screaming himself there? Who the hell decided to send 3 guys after the quarterback there and give him 2 hours to pass the football? Oh, that was you, Manny. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. But I think this, and this is a general conclusion about all of it. I don't know what David Ferronis is going to have to say about it, but it seems like the themes all kind of go in a parallel line here, and that is it's just never going to be the same.
No.
It would take a really miraculous guy like a Schnellenberger type to make this happen, and you only have 1 in 1,000 coaches has that kind of magic like Schnelly had. When, he was just such a strong believer, kind of like what we're doing with this project here, right? Where if you just believe it's going to work out,
yeah.
Even the most cynical of doubters, eventually says, you know what? There was something to that. They stuck to it, right? Because when Schnelly declared that state of Miami thing, everybody was like, well, what the hell is this guy talking about? The old man has lost his mind.
Yeah.
Too much of that pipe tobacco smoke is... gone straight to his brain cells, and he's a Looney Tune, and it worked. And he would sprinkle in players from other parts of the country, and was a very effective recruiter. And and nobody believed it. I mean, it sounded like he was completely full of crap when he was talking about the University of Miami becoming a national football power, and yet he left the program there, got a pro job of sorts, although it never materialized. As did Jimmy, who was here, Jimmy Johnson, for like a few years. And then, right after that, Dennis ends up with the Seattle Seahawks for a long time as a pro coach. Butch gets a job with the Cleveland Browns. And that was the scenario. It was operative and effective, but you had to keep hitting on the right guy in a coaching position and continue that whole string where it was desirable, I guess, to come to the University of Miami. They were on primetime television all the time. I mean, there were a lot of reasons to do it, and their players were always considered prominently in the draft, which now, who holds that distinction?
Yeah. Thank you, boy.
Them hillbillies in Alabama. They're getting all the good players now. I sound like I'm on Sanford or something. What the hell was that? You can only get in trouble for going in that direction.
I would get us kicked off fair.
I was trying to do a hillbilly. Let's put it that way. You don't see a lot of organized hillbilly societies that can get a guy fired for making fun of hillbillies.
No, but still.
If there is one, we'll find a way to be the guys that got
I have
torched
with the Canes, and it's like we've talked about this with Billy Corbin a lot. You guys were actually ahead of the curve. A lot of people finally are catching up. I don't think they'll ever be a dynastic. The money is just too big, and they're a small private school who's focused on academics. They just are. They haven't hid that fact, so they can't compete with Alabama.
Great music school, by the way. I mean, those kids, they were right there with Christian McBride.
A great lot of things with academics, but they're not focused on sports. So I don't think they can compete with the top tier. But why do they have to? Why can't they just compete with Wake Forest and Carolina and the middle tier? And then
because we had it once before, and that's the old song, man, Roberta Flack, right? Trying to get that feeling again, and it's not happening, right?
It's not going to happen.
Like you go back. I mean, guys marry their ex-wives. Does that work?
No.
I would venture to say the percentages are very low there. Because the same crap that happened before, guess what? It'll be happening again, only exaggerated to an exponential power that you can't deal with for much longer. The second time around, right, is almost always short term. Would you agree that that's a fair statement? They should have amended that song. The second time around. It's going to be relatively short term, people. Can assure you from experience. All right, here on Ion Channel, Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz with you, and very happy to be with you. David Ferronis is going to join us here in just a few moments on the program. And David Ferronis is an outstanding beat writer on the Miami Dolphins beat for the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, knows a lot about football, and has great insight, as his former beat was the University of Miami. So we'll find out what he has to say about what's happening there. And, the question now would just be, where does that leave? On what kind of solid footing is the future of Manny Diaz as the team's head coach? Is it automatic that another athletic director comes in and says, this guy's got to go? Will he have that level of authority? Now, if you didn't have that level of authority as an athletic director and you were going to stake your future and reputation and your resume being built on having Manny Diaz as your head coach, would you feel very secure that you were going to be around for a while, or that eventually fingers were going to be pointed directly at you as the reason? See, but you hit it on the head, Lubie. People are dreaming here. They're dreaming.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
it's not possible. I don't even think it's conceivable for that situation to ever bring itself about again, where the team is like constantly in the top 5 and always a threat, and nobody wants to play them anymore. And they had an identity which wasn't particularly favorable around the rest of the United States, but we loved them here. The games were packed. They were very exciting. And you looked forward to it. And this is something that's missing. And I don't know if it's just because I'm getting old and I'm not around the program as much as I used to, but I don't even know what time they play these games anymore. No. You used to have them circled on your calendar like 6 months in advance. I can't believe it. Wow, FSU is going to be at 1 o'clock. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And you couldn't wait to make arrangements to go, and you wanted to make sure you had tickets, and they were at a premium. I was checking this out, speaking of tickets at a premium, and this tells you all you need to know about where teams stand in the National Football League and where your beloved Miami Dolphins stand.
Okay.
To get tickets in Week 12 to see the Finns home game against Carolina, they start at $28. $28, which I would imagine
it's cheaper now.
It's like half face value.
When I was growing up, tickets were more money. That was like 20-something years ago.
So somebody's willing to unload their tickets for $28. Jacksonville eclipses that. You can get a ticket to a Jaguars game for $25 in week number 12. $25.
Wow.
And then Houston is the lowest on the totem pole with a $16 ticket that you can buy for a Houston Texans game, which nobody wants to go and see that direct either.
No.
Surprisingly, the 49ers, I don't know if this is just one guy selling a ticket for a discount because he's having a philanthropic moment, but $46. This is in week 12. This is like 2 weeks down the road.
Wow,
and New England has the highest ticket. I mean, the hardest ticket to get is still to a Patriots game in New England, as they'll take on Tennessee, one of their arch rivals. And maybe that could be
the best team.
That could be a game with national championship implications, or Super Bowl implications in this case. Are the Patriots good enough? Have they convinced you yet, Lubie?
Not me.
They could roll their way into the postseason. They're certainly, I mean, I don't know that they're cleaning up on the cream of the crop of the National Football League right now, but that's a big ball game. $150 a ticket is the cheapest ticket that you can find for that. So that is roughly 5 times, a little over 5 times what a Dolphin ticket would cost you. Go see a real team. All right, David Ferronis is going to join us next here on Ion Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz. Very happy to be with you. We mentioned earlier the college football playoff. Nothing has changed in terms of the rankings and the order of the teams and the teams that might qualify. Still, the big question mark would be, does Cincinnati make its way somehow into the Final Four? I do believe that if Bama beats Georgia, then obviously they go in as the number 1 team. But even if Bama loses the rest of the way, they would still make it. And Ohio State, they'll find a way to cram Ohio State in there. Oregon, not so much. Cincinnati, though, I mean, this is, just a big black mark, is it not, on the college football playoffs? If the Cincinnati Bearcats end up in there's no way they get voted in.
No.
I would venture to say they could be 12-0, and all the other teams could have 2 losses on their resume, and they still
out.
Well, we only saw them as number 5, which shows you that that's a bunch of BS.
Let them get
that whole thing
the entire year, but they never can move up.
Never get it. Never crack into the.
Everyone loses.
I'm intrigued too. Just a quick comment on this Frank Gore, Darren Williams fight. I was reading about that. Frank Gore, the former football player, speaking of the University of Miami, going to box now, which is not unprecedented. There have been guys that have gone from the NFL into boxing, several of them actually. Ed Too Tall Jones, I think, was like the first guy of any significance to make that transition. I had to cover a couple of very horrible and well-staged Mark Gastineau fights at the Fort Lauderdale War Memorial. I don't know if he fought there more than once, but I do remember him battling Tim Doc Anderson, who was so upset that he had to throw the fight that he shot his manager afterwards and either died in prison or is still doing time somewhere, like in Stark. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of an odd transition. Alonzo Highsmith tried it. Alonzo Highsmith, former guy. Yeah, and you would think if anybody might be able to do it, it might be Frank Gore.
He's a tough dude.
But, yeah, he's a tough son of a gun, man. I mean, was in the NFL for like...
I don't get the Darren Williams part. Like, he wasn't a fighter. He always made fun of because he was sort of soft. Like, I don't get this at all.
I believe, and according to the article I read, that he was a state championship wrestler.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and he's involved in MMA, owns like an MMA facility. So maybe he's been working out with the boys there, decided he would box. And this is what's happening now, right? I mean, you can't sell tickets to see Terrence Crawford fight Sean Porter. I mean, they're begging you to please. We'll give it away on ESPN Plus, and go ahead and pirate it if you want. Well, we'll welcome that. But these fights are drawing huge pay-per-view audiences. Jake Paul, Tommy Fury, who's a half brother to Tyson Fury. That's his lone distinction, man. And Jake Paul is beating what? He's beaten Screech before he passed away, and who else? And this is a headline fight on a pay-per-view card. You have to be kidding me. And then they have this thing with Frank Gore and Darren Williams, which not always a great transition from another sport into professional boxing. We have seen that. Conor McGregor, for example, ran out of gas in like the second round, the big, tough MMA guy. All right, we're coming back with more. David Ferronis is going to join us, and we'll analyze some of the things happening on the local scene here in South Florida on Ion Channel. I'm Jeff Deforrest. He is Mike Lubitz. And we can tell you this, very excited, very, very excited. When John and Jimmy mentioned that we're going to go down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill, and he was going to set that up for next month. And we were planning on being there a couple of times during the football season.
Yep.
And it was radio showus interruptus. So we were out of action there for a little while and came back strongly here on Ion Channel. And you know what? It's going to be an even better presentation, right? Because if you could have seen Jimmy and Leslie Visser down there with John Conjemi and you and me and the professor and all the good people and then all of that great food,
yep,
how tremendous would that have been for Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill and for the show in general. And wow, a fascinating hour that we spent with Jimmy down there. And every hour there is just absolutely fantastic. The food is great. Atmosphere is unparalleled. Just a great, great place to relax. If you're looking for a place to chill, I'm thinking, you know what, if you were looking for like kind of an alternative Thanksgiving type approach, maybe you don't want to spend the time with the in-laws. Roll on down to Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill and have yourself a blast there and knock yourself out. I'm sure they'll have something special arranged for the Thanksgiving Day holiday as well. They have great accommodations there, but they're limited and very special. So go online, jimmyjohnsonsbigchill.com, and you can make arrangements and find out about that. A fantastic way to vacation in the Keys and a great spot to stop in, whether you're traveling all the way to Key West, coming back from parts unknown, wherever it is that you've been in the Keys. And nobody really wants to know. Nobody's going to ask any questions at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Notice that? We were the only guys asking questions here. It's 8:28.
Hey there, it's Mike Mayo. Do you like steaks? Do you like seafood? Do you like classic old Florida charm? You could get that all and more at Tropical Acres Steakhouse and Butcher Shop. It's at 2500 Griffin Road in Dania, just west of 95. The Studiali family, they've been running the place a long time. It's been there more than 70 years. And it is now a place you can get early bird specials along with steaks to take home and throw on the grill yourself at the Butcher Shop. That's open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. It's open for dinner every night starting at 4:30, but they are closed on Sundays. Go to Tropical Acres. It's a place to go for a great meal, great people, good value. Tropical Acres.
The championship meet is right around the corner at Gulfstream Park. The only place for live racing. Gulfstream's action has never been hotter. Whether it's on the track, in the casino, or part of the dining and entertainment offered at the Village of Gulfstream Park. Currently running Thursday through Sunday, Gulfstream's racing package is the best in the country, with with all the top horses and people in the game pointing towards another tremendous winter season. Check out the remodeled First Floor Casino, open 7 days and nights a week, along with the many special events and concerts happening at Gulfstream Park. You can place your wagers from anywhere at firstbet.com. Check the calendar of events at gulfstreampark.com. Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Since day one of Old School, we've had Catholic Health Services be part of our family. They are recognized as the quintessential rehab facility in the Southeast for strokes, but it goes well beyond strokes, because Catholic Health Services is in the community of South Florida to help the community stay healthy. And if they're not healthy, get them healthy and get them back on their feet quicker than they could have ever expected. They do it every single day. It's step and repeat, 24/7. Catholic Health Services.
Buy or lease a house and take it to the house at Deal Volkswagen. Anna and her team make your next VW purchase or lease so easy, with new inventory rolling in daily and the biggest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles in the business. You can make your deal online at dealvolkswagen.com or visit the beautiful showroom in the classic location, 3601 Bird Road, right in the heart of the Gables. Or give Anna and the team at Deal a call at 305-448-DEEL. Jettas, Passats, Tiguans, Atlas models, and the hottest vehicle in the industry, the new Taos, all at unbeatable prices and all ready to roll off the showroom floor at the #1 Volkswagen dealership around, Deal Volkswagen.
Hear me. I am your new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence! In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket? Power has driven him mad.
From South Florida to the entire world, thank you to the iHeartRadio app. Here is Defo, joined by Lubie on The Defo Show.
That clip was Steve Bannon at the Trump inauguration, giving a little bit of prelude to what we were going to experience once that presidency got underway. Welcome back to the show on Ion Channel here. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz with you, and happy to welcome this gentleman to the program as we've been talking about some of the situations that are taking place on the local sports landscape here in South Florida, and this guy's all over all of it. Covering for the Sun Sentinel, the South Florida Sun Sentinel, the Miami Dolphins this year. He was previously on the Hurricanes beat, which all of a sudden became a little bit of a volatile situation with heads rolling after the FSU loss. We welcome to the program David Ferronis, outstanding writer for the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, how are you, my friend?
Hey, guys, I'm doing well. Always enjoy coming out with you guys.
Well, it's great having you on, too. Now, did you have to sign a waiver when you went into Hard Rock Stadium before the Houston Texans game against the Miami Dolphins that you would not sue anybody, the organization, the NFL, Stephen Ross, for fraud? by declaring that that was entertainment and that's what you were paying your money for. Now you were getting in there on a freebie, so you really couldn't complain, except if the lunch was lousy, in the press box. But that was one of. I mean, that left me thinking that this team and the organization had bottomed out to a point. I don't know about no return, because you can always make a comeback in the NFL if you put a few things in place, maybe even get lucky with something. But what was your thought after that game? Because nobody could have anticipated the ensuing week they'd come back and hammer the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this team had lost 7 straight, and then you see that display of football, which I thought couldn't get worse in the professional ranks. But then I did see the Lions Steelers overtime late in that 1 o'clock.
That was a classic.
4 o'clock. Yes. So
the Ice Bowl was removed historically from the list of great games when they contested that one.
Yeah, right. Right. These couple of games these past weeks have just taken over that list. But yeah, so that did not leave me thinking in any way, shape, or form that this team could turn around and 3 days later, 4 days later, go and stomp the Baltimore Ravens like they did. But I guess Thursday nights at home, there is an advantage there. On the short week, you don't travel, so you don't lose basically a day getting to the next city. So sometimes weird things can happen on those Thursday nights, and especially against the team that last time came over here, the Baltimore Ravens robbed the Dolphins 59-10, where Lamar Jackson and Marquise Hollywood Brown had their grand homecoming. So that was pretty shocking to see. One, even though it came in a win, that the football that we saw on the field on Hard Rock Stadium on Sunday, and then the way they were able to duplicate that into 2 wins in 5 days against the Baltimore Ravens.
It's interesting, too, because you can go from the dregs of the universe to and now people are saying that maybe the Dolphins have just written the blueprint for how to beat the Ravens. And, people were in such admiration of the way that they held Lamar Jackson in check throughout the entire ball game. And this was a game where you thought he was really going to go out there and shine because he was in front of essentially his hometown fans here, having grown up and played high school football here in South Florida. David Ferronis with us here on Ion Channel. All right. There was such hostility at one time, David. I don't know if you experienced this being a young man that you are, but nonetheless, we were talking about it. We often reference it. It was true about the Heat and the Knicks many years ago. And maybe that series will resurrect some of its luster. But there was never a time that you would have a Dolphins upcoming game against the New York Jets and people didn't know that it was happening or where it was even taking place. Both franchises have really plummeted into near the bottom of an abyss, and especially so the New York Jets, which, as we've been saying, the only defense worse than the Jets this year is the self-defense proclamation that they're making in the Ahmaud Arbery case, that these guys, were under a great threat of danger from this guy who was jogging in the opposite direction as they were chasing him down in a car. But nonetheless, what do you make of this? I mean, I hear scant little talk around town about this. You're around a team. I mean, does the game still have the kind of meaning that it once did, or even close to it? Is there still that natural inbred rivalry between the Dolphins and the Jets, not only with the fans, but with the team and the guys on the two teams themselves?
Right. It certainly doesn't feel like the times when I grew up as a kid in South Florida, watching whether it be late 90s Dolphins Jets or early 2000s, once you're past the Dan Marino years. And I remember the Jets had this 8-game winning streak against the Dolphins. Dolphins could never get over that hump, and then finally started turning things around in the rivalry. But yeah, right now I don't feel it the same way. Coach Brian Flores spoke a little bit about teams and players, they don't really view rivalries. They view every game they try to win the same way. For the fans, it should be a little bit different. Maybe we will feel it a little bit once it gets to game time. I can tell you after I get to this game in East Rutherford, New Jersey at MetLife Stadium this weekend, see what it feels like over there. I've actually never been over to that stadium, so that'll be a fun first for me. So that'll be something interesting for me is to see if this rivalry still has that feel that I grew up experiencing, watching this rivalry, and then now actually going to see a Dolphins at Jets game over there for the first time. if I still kind of sense that.
Yeah, don't take any valuables into the stadium with you.
Exactly. Be careful.
I would leave, your wallet at the hotel unless you need some identification, because it gets rough there. And, it was true. I mean, they used to, what's that? Oh, you're in a press. I don't even know if that's safe in New York, especially with Jet fans around. Yeah, I mean, Fireman Ed would come down here, and they would literally like shove the fireman's hat right off his head there and pummel this guy as soon as he got off the plane. We despised the New York Jets at that time. Lubie's got one for you. David Ferronis with us here from the South Florida Sun Sentinel.
Yeah, David. So it's funny, we're talking about that rivalry. A guy who I think has had a big part of that rivalry disseminating or decreasing is Chris Greer, because the Dolphins just aren't good. And again, when two teams are who cares about the result? So it definitely affects a rivalry. We've seen the Dolphins win 2 in a row. A lot of it probably goes to Flores, because from the beginning, we know that they play hard for Flores. He just hasn't been able to figure out the offense. What is the sentiment around the team, around the organization? Because you cover them, you're there almost on a daily basis, about Chris Greer. Like, to me, it feels like his tenure is done and we're just going through the motions. Is there a chance that he actually salvages his time here with the Dolphins? Like, he could be here next year?
Lubie wants him gone.
I want him gone. Like, I don't think
by the tone of that question, that was a very leading question, Lubie. I mean, you're leading the witness here.
But he's still here, and you haven't heard anything about him being fired.
Yeah, well, I think that's why he's trying to make this move for Deshaun Watson, and it came down to the final hours of the trade deadline, because I guess he is looking for something to salvage what he's done here. Because when you have the 2020 first round, you have 3 first-round picks, and you go and essentially spoil it. Tua, you still got to see what you have in him, because he's had a lot of stacked against him the first year and a half that he's been here. But you got Justin Herbert on the very next pick. Then the next first round pick is Austin Jackson, who was supposed to be your franchise left tackle, and you've already moved him to left guard because you've seen how that hasn't worked out. And then Noah Benogany, a cornerback that was supposed to develop into a lockdown corner that's going to give you the flexibility where maybe you don't even have to pay Xavier Howard down the road. And then, you found out, no, you're definitely going to need Xavier Howard, because Noah Benogany, going into second year now, he's been inactive for more than half the games, or just about half the games that we've seen, a healthy inactive. So, and that's just one of them. I mean, there's been a slew of mismanagement with the roster. Personnel isn't where it should be in the third year of a rebuild when you had so many resources. Now you need to fix this offensive line. So whatever quarterback you go get is going to be under constant arrest. So I think that's why he's trying to go after Deshaun Watson, finding every which way. Now Tua, because they didn't strike a deal at the trade deadline. Tua has these whatever number of games it is left. It was 9, now we're at 7. I guess is what's left. And then he's going to have to fix his offensive line. So I wrote in the Dolphins Q&A, a fan wrote sending a question about what free agent offensive linemen the Dolphins should be looking at this offseason. I guess that's already where we're at. So I went ahead and took a little dive into that story's on our website. So and there's a lot that needs to be fixed. The defense seems to be coming around. So at least there's that. We saw that in back-to-back games. The defense anchored the wins against the Texans and the Ravens, and especially the great game plan that we saw against the Ravens. So we know the Dolphins can always get a win on that side of the ball. Now it's just that the offense can come around. And, hey, now the schedule opens up a little bit here. Teams that are either 500 or below 500 for the next 4 games. So if there's a way that you can string these victories together, get back to 500, maybe you salvage this season a little bit, say you had some positive momentum at the end. And with the late bye, also, the team can finish off the regular season fresh as well.
Playoffs, my friend. We're talking playoffs here. 2 games with the Jets. Are you kidding me? They're pathetic. David Ferronis with us here on ION Channel. All right, you were very close, of course, covered the hurricane beat for the South Florida Sun Sentinel prior to getting this jump into the pros. And I don't know what the significance of this really is, because we have resigned ourselves writing the hurricane obituary that things will never be the same, that anybody that thinks that is dreaming, that this program does not have the capabilities and the things in place, the foundation, to get into a position where they're a dominant force like they were for 2 decades between the 80s and into the early 2000s. and it was a sensational run. And you would have thought it would be something you could sustain. I don't know what really put the final dent in that, whether it was Larry Coker or the series of Bozoic coaching hires after that, or ineffective coaching hires. But Blake James gets the axe. What should or shouldn't we read into that with regard to Manny Diaz and his comfort level as the head coach there? And, is there really somebody that can come in here and play this savior? Everybody's always looking for a savior in sports, but I'm not sure that you can be much more than maybe, a decent team that occasionally pops into a top 10 position and maybe makes a run in it, but probably is not national championship caliber, for some time into the future. Is there somebody out there that can replace Blake James that can make this happen?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. First, I think with regards to Manny Diaz, and the writing is on the wall of what's going to happen with him. The athletic director wasn't fired or mutually parted ways for, if we're going to be official here, for shortcomings in the volleyball program. It was because of the football coaching hire.
And I'm sure it was James' idea. He just walked into the president's office and said, "You know what? I'm doing a crappy job here. I really don't want this gig anymore, and I'm not the right guy for it. So why don't we mutually part ways? Why don't you allow me to quit?"
Yeah, exactly.
That's how everybody leaves a job.
We all know why. Yeah, we all know why he's shown the door. I mean, it comes 2 days after a rivalry loss to Florida State, a fifth football loss in the third year of a new coach's tenure. So by then you should be turning it around, and instead you're regressing from year two, where the team started 8-1 and then lost against North Carolina in the bowl game. But so he's shown the door because of the hire that he made on the same day to essentially avoid a coaching search after Mark Richt abruptly retired. He kind of surprised everyone the day after the bowl game in 2018. And he was already losing his defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz, at the time, to Temple. And then he said, well, I don't want to lose both. And Manny Diaz is still, because he finished off his tenure, still coaching the defense in that bowl game. Well, he's still in the building. He's still cleaning out his office. Let me just keep him. Let me just offer him the head coaching job. And it proved to be that he just wasn't ready for that job. He needed to go to a place like Temple first. Maybe he could eventually, but he needed to go and show that he could win at a place like that, at a Group of 5 school, before then taking a job like the Miami Hurricanes and everything that entails, with the expectations from the fan base. So now you turn around year 3, and then you see the what went wrong there. So now for the new athletic director to decide, well, now I'm going to keep that same coach. That is the reason why this AD, among other things, I'm sure internally that Blake James did wrong. But then that new AD would be off to a pretty catastrophic start if he decides, or he or she decides, well, I need to see what I have in Manny Diaz first before I make a decision and give him another year. So I think that's pretty obvious what will happen there once that new AD is in place. And they'll probably want to move quickly after this regular season ends, because then you want to turn around into recruiting, have a new coach in place to be able to talk to some kids that might be considering Miami with its new coach before the early signing period, which is in mid to late December, and then National Signing Day in February. So that, and then so what coach could turn things around? Well, I mean, obviously the hot names around town are to bring back someone like Alonzo Highsmith, who has credentials in football front offices in the NFL, Gino Torretta, someone like that. If we're talking about Miami ties, I know the Florida Atlantic athletic director, Brian White, who I covered his programs briefly over there in Boca Raton, and he's had success bringing Lane Kiffin in and whatnot, and what Lane was able to do at FAU, winning a couple of conference titles before then parlaying that into a job at Ole Miss. And you look at coaches, well, the number one name, and this was actually the name that was at the forefront for me when Manny Diaz was hired, was Mario Cristobal, who was just starting his tenure at Oregon when that brief coaching search for Miami took place. And so I think he would top the list again. It would be difficult with the success he's having at Oregon to pull him back, but you never know, a former alum who I'm sure Miami Hurricanes are close to his heart and would want to turn things around at this program and see if he can duplicate the same success he's having in the Pacific Northwest. And especially knowing the area down here at South Florida high school recruiting scene. I mean, the way Mario Cristobal would be able to recruit the South Florida Tri-County area for UM would be phenomenal, I would imagine. So he would top the list. Lane Kiffin would be another. He even said on College Game Day he still has his place in Boca Raton, so he still lives in South Florida. But obviously he's turning around Ole Miss, so that's going to the program is going to have to pony up some cash, whoever it wants to bring in, if they're serious about turning around the football program. So I think that's the number one takeaway. If they're ever going to get back to something close, it'll never be like the 80s and the 90s, and obviously that 2001 team, that'll never be replicated. But if you're going to get back to something close where you're competitive, then you're going to have to pony up some cash for a big-time head coach. We saw it a little bit when Mark Richt was brought in, and there were some glimpses of it, the 10-0 start in 2017, but then it didn't finish off strong. But there were signs that it could happen one day because of that. And then now they just need to decide we're dedicated to it. We want to bring in a big-time head coach that can pull that off.
So there's hope. That's good. I like that, David, because that was a good note to end on here as we approach the holidays. We wish you the best. Have a great trip to the Big Apple there and explore all of the different things. Get some roasted chestnuts there on the street. And,
Thank you.
Maybe a hot dog out of some dirty water. That's right out of the Hudson, that water they use on the carts. And enjoy what should be a very exciting matchup between the Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. We're hoping for some entertainment in that game, and we'll look forward to your work in the South Florida Sun Sentinel, and always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. My pleasure, guys.
I'd be well done.
All right. Thanks a lot. David Ferronis, man. All right. That wasn't such an ugly picture that he painted of the University of Miami's prospects for maybe coming out of this long and winding road, this long doldrums that they've been in, although I'm not as optimistic, that anybody can fix something that, I mean, it was sort of miraculous. And sometimes you just can't get greedy, right? The Chicago Bulls, when they had, Jordan and Pippen and all of these guys on the team, Bill Cartwright, and guys knocking down threes one after another, including the great Steve Kerr was one of those guys. Craig Hodges was another one, and they had three-point shooters galore. They had everything you could possibly want to help Jordan out, and a great coach in Phil Jackson, or at least a guy that's great at coaching that type of talent.
Yes.
And getting them to do what needs to be done to win a championship. Dennis Rodman. Let's not forget about Dennis Rodman being on the team. Also, it may never happen again. You think the Bulls are ever going to have a run like that again? Probably not.
No.
And in college football, we've seen dynastic teams fall apart and never be the same. Alabama was, in a pit there for a long, long time after the Bear was gone, and they had all of those great teams, and then they couldn't get out of their own way for a long period of time. USC never coming back to that level of prominence, and that's the most baffling one because they would seem to have all of the assets in place, plenty of capital, a large, rich booster fan base, and the opportunity is tremendous there.
They have all this stuff. They have what Miami has to offer, plus they have money, and that's what I wanted to ask Ferronis. Is like they have to pony up and they have to take it seriously. Thank you. And I'm not to be mean to David, but yes, that's exactly what we all have been saying since the 80s. Jimmy Johnson said that in the 80s before this was $1 billion.
Schnelly was talking about they needed a stadium.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not even will they. Let's say they want to, which they don't. They don't care about it. They care about academics. But let's say they do care finally about athletics. They realize how much money is in athletics. Can they? Like, do they actually have the funding? Because to me,
doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
They don't have the amount, just the alumni that these other schools have.
Can you pay a coach $10 million at this private school there? It's not happening, right? And the other thing, the big beef, the common theory was that the assistant coaches at other schools are making an enormous amount of money. You got $2 million coordinators at some of these state schools, and here's the and they're not able to even come close to that. So who are they going to attract?
Well, and the thing is, too, and I was watching this guy on Twitter, and he's really big with recruiting, and he made a good point. He's like, there's the coach, then the coaching staff, which Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Texas, all spend ridiculous amounts of money. On top of that, it's the accoutrement. Oregon, their assistants use a private plane to do recruiting visits. So that's why they can get to South Florida and Georgia and Louisiana. Miami's doesn't have money for that. Like, how can you compete with that? Like, why? I know Chris.
Is Nevin Shapiro still in the can? Maybe they can make some arrangements with him. Why did I say that? All right, we'll take a last quick time out here and then come back and wrap things up on the Defo Show Ion channel. Got to get a couple of words for some of our fine sponsors, including Deal Volkswagen. Sure. And Jersey Kyle was down there the other day. Got another Tiguan for the family there. The lovely Cora driving a Tiguan right now. Said it couldn't have been any easier to make the deal. She didn't even have like the title on her. Forgot to bring it.
Oh, wow.
They gave her like a giant sum of money for her car and said, just bring it whenever you got time. So he was down there yesterday.
The entire family is all Deal. Goes to show you just how much Deal wants to make sure you can get a car.
Well, and I have two Deal Volkswagens that I purchased there, and I could not be any happier with both of those cars. One's like a classic there, that Volkswagen Bug convertible out of production right now, that the Mustang's got about 8,000 miles on in 5 years. And then the Tiguan couldn't be any sharper of a car. Great SUV, great angle on the road there if you wanted to get a little higher perspective. And then, of course, went with the moving that's going on here and getting a new place together. Mustang's been borrowing that thing, and you can pack a lot of stuff in there. A trip to Costco is no problem with the Tiguan. So you'll love it, and you'll love the deals that you get at Deal Volkswagen. All right, we'll come back and wrap things up in just a moment here on Ion Channel. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubie, Lubitz tomorrow. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge Friday, a Degenerate Friday. Also brought to you by Deal Volkswagen at Gulfstream Park, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that
The time.
It's 8:56. Destination Sport Miami is here to revolutionize the sports landscape in South Florida. The largest indoor multifaceted sports complex in North America is on the way, with distinguished leaders of its various sports programs and unparalleled access to the finest indoor training fields and facilities. Destination Sport Miami will set South Florida apart as the destination of choice for elite athletic training and development, and for its dedication to youth programs and sports on all levels. A phenomenal concept and a powerful undertaking, Destination Sport Miami will also be an important commodity in the sports business community as well. Destination Sport Miami, its time has come.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. What if I told you you could go to a great restaurant, feel completely safe because their COVID protocol is unmatched, have an amazing meal, have a great time. When the bill comes, you won't get sticker shock. You're going to say, that's too good to be true. No, it's not, because I'm talking about Texas Roadhouse. Great family atmosphere, great atmosphere for a couple, great atmosphere if you just want to go by yourself and watch a game and have the coldest beer in town. And while you're doing that, have the best bread in town. All at Texas Roadhouse. Everything you get there is fresh every day and made sure it's served at your table, hot and ready to go. And the best part is you don't get sticker shock because the prices are amazing. Texas Roadhouse.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone? You can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side.
Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10, you're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hey, it's Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet here for my friends over at Shenanigans Sports Pub. It's a great place to go to take in a game, a good meal, and a couple of drinks. My friend Patrick, he's been doing it a long time, and he's got 2 locations. West Side is right across from TY Park in Hollywood. And then the East Side location is at 1300 South Federal Highway in Dania Beach. Shenanigans is the place for wings, burgers, barbecue, fresh fish, anything you want, drink specials, late night dining, outdoor dining. It is the place to go, family friendly. Go to Shenanigans and tell them the Gambling Gourmet sent you.
Dusty Rhodes has Killer Carl Cox in the figure 4. Wait a minute, there's Harley Race, the world champion. Jimmy Garvin trying to break that up, caught with a headbutt by Harley Race, the world heavyweight champion. Harley Race, poised on that high ring rope, crashes down on the side of Dusty Rhodes. Race moving in, trying to separate, trying to break up that figure 4. Killer Carl Cox caught in that figure 4. Harley Race now helping Killer Carl Cox out of the ring. And Dusty Rhodes being administered to by Jimmy Garvin.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs, thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
I think I go Mel Allen, Vince Scully. I guess you have to throw in Marv Albert just for traditionalists also. And I loved Marv as a kid. And then maybe Gordon Soley as among the greatest play-by-play men of all time. Welcome back to the show. As it's been a pleasure being with you all morning long. Flown by. Thanks to David Ferronis and Len Robbins for joining us here on the program. Jeff Deforrest, Michael Lubie, Lubitz with you on Ion Channel. Do it again tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Another bold attempt. You ready to venture over to the studios there and
Let's do it.
The facsimile of Hialeah Park, and we'll have that the trivia challenge. Dave Gurgles Gurgley, I think, is a natural for this thing.
Yeah, it'll be a blast.
And the Polyman was a little bit Weekend at Bernie's when he first started out. He was a little bit ice cold there. As Jack Namer said to me, who's the corpse? But he snapped out of it quickly, as he always does, Polyman, and rose to the occasion. So it was tremendous, and looking forward to having that good vibe and a good chemistry on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge tomorrow here on Ion Channel, and then a Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday, as we'll be once again in a simulation of Gulfstream Park on Friday, and that's always a blast for us. Jersey Kyle on the crew there, and Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, who I'm doing a little local radio show with on WWNN. I guess that streams on some kind of audio channel also, 12 to 1, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. And I was mentioning to Mike that one of the places it's often talked about on his Facebook page there, which is Universal, Let's Eat South Florida. And they review a lot of restaurants. You see a lot of commentaries. But people are always asking, like, where's a good place to get Chinese food in South Florida? And there's a New York bias there, New York snobbery. Hey, you can't get good Chinese food in Florida. And you have to look for something else. It's kind of like the Hurricane fans need to look in another direction to be satisfied, right? It's not going to be 20 years of domination coming up on the horizon here, or at least not anytime soon. So I call my go-to place, which is the Peking Duck House that I fell in love with, because when I went in there the first time, the owner was hiding underneath the menus that he was taking the orders from, and the little pad that he had, the gold sheet, and he was sending it in like on the Lakers -3.5 that night. As he was taking orders, it was like Mugu Gai Pan, I would like the General Chow's chicken, and Lakers -3.5. Okay, very good. I don't know if he was booking bets. I think he was just making them, and that didn't agree very well with his wife, because we know this, Mike Lubitz, that women and gambling don't mix.
No.
So I call the Peking Duck House on Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach, and they're closed on Mondays. I get a machine, usually very prompt. I didn't know they were closed on Mondays. So the alternative was a place called May's Kitchen, which if you see May's Kitchen, it's kind of got that look of enter at your own risk.
I guess I've driven by that place. That's funny.
It's a dump. I mean, like you couldn't get more of a dump in terms of the outward presentation of what this Chinese restaurant's going to be. Now, I'm not, opposed. The Fish Shack was like that before they moved.
Yes.
One of the best seafood places you can go to, lunch, dinner, man, fantastic. That's in Lighthouse Point, Florida, the Fish Shack. For you people from out of town, you come here, go to the Fish Shack, you won't be disappointed. Great, but they moved to a spiffier location, and they were in a real hole-in-the-wall joint, as is May's Kitchen. So May's Kitchen has this like dented chain link fence that borders it off from a gas station that's just south of there. And it's one of those fences that really, I mean, it does not look right unless it has a giant "Beware of Dog" sign on it. And that's kind of your entree into this restaurant here, which is takeout only. They don't have any tables. But now, I don't know if they've had a string of incidents there, but they have more plexiglass between the customers and the people that are working behind the counter there, which is like a family. And a little kid is taking your money there through a slot. And there's more plexiglass between you and the counter where they're sending the food out than there would be in like a Nicaraguan president's presidential limousine. Right? Where there's a pretty good chance there are going to be some shots fired. So I didn't know if I was in the Chinese restaurant or a check cashing store. It was amazing. Maybe they do both. I might have, I might have tried to pass one off there, one of those old iHeart checks. Say, hey, will you cash this? But anyway, the food's good there. I mean, the people genuinely like it, and it always gets favorable reviews, but not much to look at. May's Kitchen, Pompano Beach. I just wanted to mention that. I mentioned it to the gourmet. He's not a snob about this sort of thing. He's not one of these foo-foo critics.
No, he just likes good food.
Yeah, he'll eat some garbage. He'll be with us on Friday on our Deal Volkswagen Degenerate Friday, the Gambling Gourmet, Mike Mayo. And then later on, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. It's going okay, Lubie. I would say it's going okay for our return to minor league terrestrial radio. All right. I don't want to say it's minor league because it's a major show with the 64,000 people.
Talk about major shows, by the way, since we love sending people from there here. If you want more of us, you get exclusive content every single day. Not only here, but exclusive content on the Believe Podcast Network. Just go to Believe.com, search After Hours, and every single day we give you something special here and there, both Defo and myself. So check that out as well.
Someplace special for sports. That used to be the moniker for WIOD, where I spent many years here broadcasting. All right, we're in overtime here, taking advantage of the situation on Ion Channel. We appreciate their tolerance and patience for everything that we do, and always great to be here with you on Ion Channel. Thanks for joining us. Catch you tomorrow at 7, a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, which will be a challenge for all of us, I'm sure, but we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And you guys can dial us up, win some prizes. You got that landlubber stuff going. Yes, so we'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. bright and early here on Ion Channel. Thanks for tuning in and listening, everybody. We'll see you next time as we leave you on that.
The time.
It's like the Stern Show, right? We just go right through the time. It's 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.